64 years of independence, and Nigerians are still going to church to pray for electricity. They are still going to church not to have accidents due to bad roads networks in Nigeria. What is it to celebrate after 64 years of gaining independence from the colonial British Empire? This morning and today, let's talk about why Nigeria has failed and what Nigeria must do to return back to the old glorious days that we know about. For us who belong to the bracket of millennial, we grew up hearing that Nigeria used to be good. We grew up hearing that Nigeria used to have what we call free education in the southwest, that there used to be what we call granite pyramid in the north, and all manner of industrializations were going in the southeast, and of course a booming fishery industry in the south. But today, here we are, a 64-year-old nation cannot boast of manufacturing toothpick. How did Nigeria get it wrong? How did we fall into this abyss of retrogression? And now, today, the old giant of Africa is now the midget of West Africa, the midget of Africa. Today, our citizens are no longer respected. Today, a Nigerian needs to apply for visa to gain access into South Africa. 2 days ago or 3 days ago, a very well-known human rights activist, Aisha Yusufu, she came to the TL on Twitter. She shouted that she cannot imagine, she couldn't believe her eyes, that South Africa, knowing her popularity, knowing her influence, were demanding from her a death certificate of her in-law because she was going to what? South Africa. On what basis? It is because Nigeria has fallen. It is because the Nigerian leaders, have failed the country. They have failed to bequeath on the subsequent generations excellence in leadership. What they have successfully seeded, passed down, and we can see today, is corruption. The leaders of Nigeria are what? Passing down corruption to the youth who are supposed to be the leaders of tomorrow in Nigeria. And this is why you see that majority of Nigerian youth today are into all manner of unscrupulous activities. You see them doing Yahoo. You see them doing activities that are not productive, that are not legitimate, activities that will not push the economy forward. But again, who is to be blamed? There is absolutely nothing wrong with the country. I have gotten tired of going to church whereby my pastor will tell me, let us pray for this country, that this country will get better. Let us pray for Nigeria so that we don't suffer from all natural disasters. Most of the disasters that we have are man-induced, poor leadership induced. Look at the issue of the Alo Dam that happened in Borno State. Over 1 billion over a period of time has been budgeted for the maintenance of Alo Dam, but again, what happened? It was embezzled. It wasn't God that embezzled it. It wasn't God that told the leaders to cut away and loot the money. So when the dam got worn out, it tore and everywhere was flooded. And now today we can see the likes of Dangote, the likes of Dan Tata, the likes of the World Banks and USAID, United Nations, contributing all manners of funds, aids, palliatives to the people of Maiduguri who weren't supposed to be in that position. If we only have a nation, a country, and a world where world leaders hold corrupt country leaders accountable. Maybe Nigeria would have been a better place if only the USA's, United Nations, the likes of Dangote and Dantata had not contributed that money, but instead call out the leaders and tell them a report was published that over 1 billion has been budgeted to maintain this aludam. You need to be apprehended, you need to be arrested. But you know what they did? And this is what I say about corruption being passed down from generation to generation. Care is not taking this level of corruption, this level of tolerating corruption. Corruption is what I will pass down to my children. And instead of us saying it as it is, calling a spade is like you becoming an enemy of the state in this country called Nigeria today. 64 years of prayers, 64 years of disappointment. Nigeria has disappointed its people, first and foremost. The Nigerian leaders, when I mean Nigeria, I mean the Nigerian leaders, not the country itself. How do we get out of this mess? Do we need a leader to come up and tell us that we need to get out of this mess? The Nigerian people are divided. The Nigerian people might never unite. Yes, because so many people are invested and they thrive in this division that we have in this country. So many political influential leaders, pastors, businessmen are what? Highly invested in the tribal division. Yes. If you look at what is going on in this country, you will understand that there are so many billionaires who were only successful because of the tribe that they come from. So they understand that when we have a system where the son of a nobody can become a somebody the next day, then they won't allow the Nigerian system to work, just as it is in America, even in some African countries. This is what we talk about meritocracy. In Nigeria today, the corruption is even in the education, wherein you'll be asked that there's a catchment area for a university. They'll tell you, when I wanted to apply for my undergraduate, studies, my first application was in UI and Ilorin. In the University of Ilorin, as way back as 2006, I was told if I do not have Bello, if I don't bear Bello in my name, then I should forget about getting admitted into what? University of Ilorin. If I don't have a name that is Islamic in nature, and this is supposed to be a federal university, this is supposed to be a university that doesn't discriminate. If we are talking about state, maybe state, because every state has the latitude to, inaugurate and, of course, have as much university they want to have. But a federal university has a criteria that if you do not have, it is unconstitutional, but they enforce it. They enforce it. They use it as a yardstick for qualification. And it is not hidden. And I know it is still applicable to this very day. When they are considering merit lists, supplementary lists, and there's something they call VC list, they consider these factors, this tribe and religion. This is why I'm saying for over 64 years, Nigeria has not been able to overcome this primordial sentiment and bias. But again, we want to go to church and my pastor will ask me to pray. I ain't no fool. And I ain't got no time to waste anymore. It is about time that we get serious as a youth. The Igbos have been clamoring to go. Maybe the methodology they are using is what is wrong. Because I might not totally agree with it, but to some extent, I agree with them. Because out of this frustration, out of this provocative demeanors towards them, so I would not justify them to go through a rational means or way of pulling out of the country. A nation that has a constitution that every state will get an allocation, a federal allocation to develop and to do this and to do that. There will be a system of local government, there will be a state system. However, the federal government is in charge of what the forces, the armed forces, the security, the internal securities, the paramilitaries, the corruption enforcement agencies. But we have seen a situation whereby the federal government is the enabler of impunity, of fraud. A person like Yaya Bello, who has exhausted his immunity as a governor, is being shielded by the federal government powers. They don't need IP detector. Neither do they need any special intelligence to fetch out Yaya Bello. EFCC do not need to be embarrassing us and be playing on our intelligence that Yaya Bello is wanted. Okay, but Yaya Bello is not a needle that you are looking for in an ocean. Yaya Bello is, and that is why I'm saying that these leaders over the years, they are passing down impunity. They are telling us that you can do and get away with corruption. And then we are asking that God, please make Nigeria a better place. No, it's not going to happen. It is a 64 years of what? Of directionless leadership, of a country that is going towards what we call total destruction. By Tuesday, there's a call for protest. Nigerians will tell you nothing will come out of the protest. Nigerians will tell you we will not join because Showore is a Yoruba man. Igbos will tell you this government, they favor us. The Yorubas will say, no, 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 leave him, leave him, leave him. He's not just, he has not even spent up to 2 years now. Leave him. You people should just try and be tolerant. Let us see, maybe this thing can still be better. How many times as your president, how many times has Tinubu spoken to us as Nigerians? It doesn't matter if you voted for him or not. This one thing, he doesn't revere us. He doesn't care. He is not after setting an exemplary leadership. He doesn't even give a damn how people see him. Because what has been passed down to Tinubu is impunity. Right from the days of the military to Obasanjo, to Yar'Adua, to Jonathan, they have seen that how I can do and undo and go away with it. Have you ever seen in Nigeria where a former president, I mean, look at South Africa. South Africa still reprimanded and apprehended and arrested a former president, which is Jacob Zuma, right? He faced his time, he did his time. Whatever offense he committed, he got the consequence, right? But that is South Africa. We can see what goes on in other many countries. Look at what goes on in Japan, how they incarcerate their prime ministers. Look at what goes on in China. Look at what goes on in even in Northern Africa. Look at what goes on in Singapore. But when you come back to a 64-year-old, oh my God, oh my goodness, a 64-year-old Nigerian, they will tell you, do not touch a former president. They will tell you a person like Showore who is saying, I will detain, arrest, and prosecute all past leaders. It doesn't matter if what you committed is 20 years ago. They will tell you it's a lie. So Nigeria is divided. The way forward is to go back to regional government, or we go to confederation, or we just agree that we are all going our separate ways. The level of division, the level of religious discordance in this country, the ideologies are too diverse. We are all lying on separate beds. And we must speak truth to ourselves. Because if we fail to do this, a war might be the deciding factor at the end of the day.